All right, guys, welcome back to the show here. It's been a heck of a week. Let me tell you what's happening. All right. What is it? It's mid-March. It's March 9th. For those of you listening at a time far away in the future or in the past or galaxies far away. All right, Brad, what are you talking about here? But yeah, spring is on its way. Oh boy, yesterday was like 70 degrees. Well, it was like 64, but it felt like 70 and it was just delightful. My spirits were up. I felt better. I was a happier person. Like I was just wanted to do things. The sun is staying out later now with all this daylight savings nonsense. All right. What the heck is that anyway? Let's just shut that down. It's not like the stars and the galaxies are like, yeah, better turn that back down an hour. All right, let's just get back on the real cycle. All right, let's just get back in sync with Mother Nature. All right. Speaking of which, I had a great little trip. I took a personal trip. All right. Yep. I brought the GoPro. Yep. There's going to be a fun little clip that I'm going to have put together, you know. And then I went down to Wanchese, Wanchese, North Carolina. Wanchese, I believe is how you pronounce it. And right on the coast there, big fishing hub. All right. In the Outer Banks, treacherous waterways in the Oregon Inlet for the folks that go out in that every day in that channel, that dredge channel. All right. My God. You really got to be on top of your shit. That's for sure. Otherwise, you are definitely going to get stuck. All right. Big sandbar on the way out. You go under this bridge. And I was down there with my friend Vincent Zaletta. Thank you, man, for all of your knowledge and expertise and ability to captain the ship safely and well. A big thanks to my friend Vin Deletta there for being the captain and knowing the waterways and having his boat down there all full circle, out of Block Island, tooted down there to North Carolina for the winter. Anywho, I went down and met up with him with a couple other buddies, Pete and Huck Finn from Rhode Island. And boy, we had a good old time. Oh boy, did we have a good old time. All right. Timmy was there. There was a few of us out on the boat and we were chasing tuna. All right. So we get out there, treacherous waterways. You go out this channel under the bridge and then you go over this like sandbar and it's just like, man, it's breaking, there's waves. And I don't even think it was a very bad day it was actually, I think a pretty nice days, but there were some rollers, man. And I got sick the first day. All right. The first half a day going out started strong. And boy, did the seed get planted and grew of the old seasickness. I threw up 72 times. I threw up my soul. I threw up my life. I threw up everything I threw up everything. I threw up my soul. Came out of my body and then it came back in and I recaptured it. But no, I was laying there on the bean bag. All right, for those of you that know, the bean bag can be your best friend on an offshore trip sometimes. The old white saltwater bean bag, okay? And I was in that thing like a child, like a dog, all right? Like a dog like a sick dog curled up. I was puking into a garbage bag. And I didn't really eat anything. I had a cup of coffee and a couple Triscuits. Something just didn't sit right in the old boiler. And boy, oh boy, I didn't shake out of it until about probably 11 o'clock. The boys already caught a couple giants, couple bluefins. Brad, you gotta get out here. And I'm just like, yeah, go fuck yourself. I'm throwing my goddamn liver out right now. Okay. I don't know why I said liver. I wasn't hungover. I was just seasick. Okay. And it was brutal. But shook it off. And let me tell you what, comeback kid. Okay. The comeback kid, Leone, shook off the old seasickness, turned a page, got back to it. The sun came out. The fog kind of burned off. I could see the horizon. I got my bearing back. And what I do, all right, everyone's out there trolling, caught a couple giants. All of a sudden there's mola, those like sunfish, one of those cruising by. Nice to see you. A couple dolphins, and then boom, a couple bluefin busting on the surface 40 yards away. Old Pistol Pete from High Hopes Tavern. He's on the trip, buddy of mine. We both had our spin rods. I had my Penn spin rod, and wham, I'm casting right. We're doing big poppers, top water, klug, making a racket on the surface. And I saw these tuna bust, and it happens quick. And I casted that baby out, clunk, wham! All right, we're talking 50-pound bluefin, easy, maybe a little more, screaming on the spinners. I fought that baby, landed it, gaffed it. All right, and that thing, yep, we're going to eat that. Okay, and my buddy Ben, he's got the commercial license with all the permits, so we're squared away. All the giants got released, the giant bluefin tuna. What an incredible, all tuna, just incredible fish. The things you see out there, Portuguese man o' war, minke whales. I think they were minke whales. There's a type of whale out there breaching. Probably saw 200 dolphins. Just really cool, man. Good community of people out there, and just hit them just right. Wham! Whack a towel. We got them. Beautiful fish. And then we ended. We were gonna 2 p.m. We were calling it. We were gonna head back in. It's like a 3-hour drive in from the canyons out there. 5,000 feet of water we were in. Holy smokes. Just the continental shelf, right? It just goes from a couple 100 feet to right off the cliff there, bud. And a lot of the water gets real blue. It's just really neat, man. If you ever get a chance to go offshore fishing with someone that knows what they're doing, I highly recommend you do it. Even if you get sick, the things you see and the experience is pretty amazing. It's like nothing else. So that was really cool, and came home, and it's beautiful. Spring's around the corner. Can't wait to do some more fishing myself. This is a fishing podcast today, by the way. At least this part of what the heck are we even talking about is, okay? Our guest today, I doubt we'll talk about fishing at all, but maybe I'll find a way to bring it up. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll ask to bring her fishing, and that will probably never happen. Let's take a couple questions here, all right, before our guest comes on. We take guests, we take some nice calls, questions, concerns, thoughts, and ideas from listeners and friends and folks like you. Send them right on in to layitonbradleone@gmail.com. That's layitonbradleone@gmail.com. And I'll get back to you with something, okay? I'll give you something. I'll give you the good, the bad, the ugly, baby, okay? Send it right in. Tell me where you're calling from. You can send a video message. You can send an audio message, or you can send something that I have to read if you're into that. Okay. But tell me where you are. I like that. No one ever does. A couple people, just like what state, or, I'm not looking for your home address or your eye color or anything, your shoe size, let's not get weird about it here. All right, let's hit the phones. First caller. Let's see what we got. Hey, Brad, huge fan. From East Los Angeles, California. All right. I've been watching for years and years and learned to cook from watching Bon Appetit, making it, It's Alive, and Local Legends. Right on, man. Well, thank you. Question, where can we listen to Local Legends theme song without rewinding an episode repeatedly? Much love, you're a legend. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, so the song's from, speaking of a little legend down in California, never met him, but I knew his brother briefly when I lived in Brooklyn. He was good buddies with my friend Patrick O'Malley. Shout out to Patrick O'Malley and Colin Menzel, I believe his last name, and his brother, who is a little jingly little wizard, a little freakazoid, a little beautiful little freakazoid down in Florida, Harrison Menzel. That might not be how you say his last name, but we get it. We get it. He did the little jingle, and he did this jingle, and he does all the jingles. He's a great little jingle. He's a great guy. And maybe I'll just put out the whole song on YouTube. I think I did already, to be honest. Otherwise, yeah, it's just it's a little sad little method of me to get a couple extra views out of you on the old YouTube. You gotta, fall in love with the jingle. You don't have to watch the whole video, but we'll get you to watch the intro maybe like 10, 15 times. So thank you, Harrison, for making that crack little jingle that you made, because it's good. But to answer your question, fan from East Los Angeles, California, I'll go ahead and we should put the whole thing out because it's a whole song. What I always wanted to do was go down to, I blew it. Maybe I'll do it. There's still time. Is to go down to Florida and maybe or have him record it live. Maybe he can. Maybe I don't have to go there at all. Maybe he can just record it live and on a GoPro and send it to me, and I'll put it out. Yeah. All right. Thank you. That's a good one. Harrison's social handle, if you want to see him, is at Wanderbust. WANDERBUST. Harrison at Wanderbust. I can't read Harrison, but you guys can, so get there, check it out. Maybe he'll make you a jingle. or maybe not. Give him a follow. He's a like I said, he's a cool little freakazoid down in Florida. One of them little Florida freakazoids, you know. Florida. What are we gonna do with Florida? You know, as much as everyone complains about it, we all kind of love it, right? Florida's freaking cool, man. It's like its own little weird East Coast Texas, you know? All right, here we go. Next call.
Hey there, Brad. It's another beautiful day here in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, Hartford, fellow nutmegger. All right, buddy. Look at you out there grilling freaking Hartford. All right. I like your style. A little flannel with the hoodie under it. Carry on.
We're just boiling down our first batch of maple syrup from these red maples in my backyard. I've been out here in New England about 5 years now.
He's out there making, for those of you just listening, well, I guess he said what he's doing, but he's making maple syrup. He's out there on his grill. All right. He's got a nice little pot filled with some maple sap. He's rendering it down, reducing it to make that oh so delicious maple syrup. And it's been a great little year. Okay. So far, let me go on a rant real quick. Okay. Maple syrup, when it's cold at night and then warm during the day, the sap starts flowing in the trees. Anyway, carry on.
This is my first time really getting the taps going. I tried last year. I didn't really get anything at all, and I'm just blown away at how much sap we're getting out of these trees.
That's because it's been a good year. It's been nice and freezing cold at night, and then like 40s, 50s, even sometimes the 60s, close to the 60s, and it's like a highway. You're going to be filling buckets, which you need, because to make 1 gallon of that oh so delicious maple syrup, you need about 50 gallons of sap. Carry on.
Just a couple of trees. We've been really enjoying it. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. I don't know if this is a question, but I'm here for it.
I wanted to take a minute to appreciate your book. Like I said, we moved out here about 5 years ago, and when I was feeling a little homesick that first winter, for the West, for Colorado, California.
You know what? I had him pegged as a West Coast, California, kind of Colorado dude, not gonna lie.
Your book really went a long way in helping me feel more connected to this region, to things like this, to, you know, just the spirit out here in New England. And so I really appreciate that. Oh, I gotta show you before I forget. Check out these sourdough grinders. However,
What, you make those?
instead of water, we did maple sap on these. Completely replaced the water with maple sap, and they came out lovely. I'm about to make some nice Italian subs.
This
on those
dude
for dinner.
rules. I wish he was my neighbor.
I wanted to ask you, Brad, about getting started with squid or crabbing, like dock fishing. I don't really have much experience in that. I do a lot of fly fishing in freshwater, a little bit of salt, but like charters and stuff. But how do I get into fishing off the dock? Or first of all, do we go to the Sound? I'm up here in Hartford. Do we go to Rhode Island? Where's the good fishing?
Oh, I fucking got you, pal. I got you, pal. Hold on.
And I just want to avoid, you know, like being a jackass and coming up on someone else's spot or something like that. So any advice you have for a first time out going after squid or crabs here in New England, I'd really appreciate it. All right, lay it on me, Brad Leone. You're my only hope. Thank you.
Yes, this guy is the best, man. Long, good video, all right? Doing stuff, and then also solid question, okay? Someone who wants to get into crabbing or squidding, all right? Your only problem is you're going to have to drive a little, all right? Being out there in Hartford. But you ain't got to go too far, man. You know, just getting in. Don't be worrying about other people's spots, all right? We're not talking about, you know, sneaking onto someone's private land to go deer hunting or something crazy, all right? We're talking about squid and crabs. I mean, this is like the most approachable, amazing type of fishing that you can get into. Crabs, man, you can go right at docks. If you know, I recommend getting yourself a little john boat, but let's take baby steps. You go at night, or during, you know, I would wait till about August, okay? August, September, early October, August, September, maybe late July, okay? Yeah, you can probably start fooling around. But you go right to the docks or the crabs, get some hand lines with some bunker. Don't go, I'm not a chicken guy, all right? Let's have a little class here. You get some bunker, some Medhaden, some pogey, whatever you want to call them. Use that as bait. Classy, greasy, boys, greasy. and you want to send those down, just go to a dock. Nice little soundy area. You want that salt water, maybe a little brackish influence, but nothing more. You just let's get that. You want that nice little. You want some nice little waves there. You go over by Groton or something in those little public docks. Try to find something like that, or a pier or a marina. Hand lines, you can get them at the bait and tackle shops. You probably get them online, or like little traps that you drop down. Not like overnight traps. Let them sit for half an hour, pull it up. The doors open up. They make basket traps or triangle traps or square traps. And it's just good, clean fun. Bring the family. If you bring anyone you want. Same with squid. Little jigs at night. All right, that's coming up like late May, right? May. You go at night, get a light. They even sell little lights that you can hook up to a battery. You drop it down right at the dock, and you'll see these little aliens, these little cephalopods darting around. And you use a little jig that got these like little I'll get you. Why don't you just come with me, bud? And it's on these little like barbs, and you just jig, and they hit it with their tentacles, and you pull it up, and these things change colors, and it's as far as culinarily, it's fresh squid. I mean, you kidding me, bud? Unbelievable stuff. Super, super approachable, man. I hope in some way that was helpful. Maybe I'll see you out there sometime, I go, yeah, you can go right in anywhere in the entire sound. Those inner waterways and stuff, and bays and marshes, they're just little crabbers, in there in the mud and stuff. And man, it's the best. I like a good high tide or incoming or something, right? Hey, great question, man. You're the best. Yeah, you're the best. Let me know again how that works out for you, or if you need any more tips, don't be shy to reach out, man. Great question, and thanks, buddy. Woo! We got a great guest today. All right, we got a real heavy hitter, big household name around the world. All right, one of the biggest guests to date. I love her. All right, you might have seen her on TV for the past 17 years on Top Chef as one of the best judges. All right, she was a model, a very successful author, activist. She's got a new book coming out, Padma's All American, and she's also got her new show out, America's Culinary Cup. Let's give a nice warm welcome to Padma Lakshmi. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me on, Brad. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing very well. Can't complain at all. Excited for spring, which is showing its beautiful face, poking its beautiful face out in the Northeast here. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Los Angeles. I'm usually in New York, but I happen to be in LA. So I don't know. It's 7 something. It's really early in the morning.
Oh gosh, well, thank you. Are you an early bird in general?
Not really. I'm a night owl.
If left to your own devices, I mean, on a perfect day, what time are you getting out of bed?
About 7:30 or 8 anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
I will stay in bed, but I'll certainly be awake, and I'll be doing emails and all that stuff.
All that stuff. And you live in New York, right?
I do. I'm just out here for family
work.
reasons, but I do
Okay.
live in New York. It's been nice being out here and escaping the cold, though I hear that last weekend we had really nice weather on Sunday.
Oh my God, yesterday was like 70 degrees and blue
That's what I
skies.
heard.
You like LA?
Eh,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind it. I love the produce that you get year round and all of that, but I'm a New Yorker. I like the seasons. I don't mind when it's cold. I love getting
Yeah.
all cozy by the fire.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I'll always be jealous. I think you hit it right on the head. I'll always be jealous of the grow season and what they can. It's kind of it's insane. It's beautiful. It's perfect when it comes to. I'm a big gardener, and being able to do it year round. But to your point, there's something really beautiful about waiting for it, and wanting it. It's like when you see that transformation of the buds and the different birds that start coming around, and then green starts to pop again. It's cool. It's a really there's something to be said, right? There's a beauty to seeing that transformation of nature. And not to do the whole loser's war cry when it comes to growing things, but I don't want tomatoes year round. You know what I mean? And maybe if I grew them and it was perfect, but like get a couple months out of the year when they're perfect and they're just like absolute fruit candy. Like, man, it's having a society and a food system where you can get anything kind of every day of the year kind of stinks, like I'd rather get things in seasonality and wait for them
But
in a
also, fruits that are eaten and vegetables, fruits and vegetables that are eaten in season are not only tastier, but they also have a higher nutritional content if they're eaten that way at the peak of their ripeness and during their seasons. I think we've all gotten spoiled, about getting anything anytime flown in, even if you do live in the Northeast. But I really think that it's more environmentally friendly if you just eat with the seasons and what's close to you to reduce our, carbon footprint. And that may sound boring, but it's actually wonderful, as you said, to wait for the season of tomatoes and peaches and all stone fruit, that
right.
beautiful moment where it's exciting to go to the market, where you're waiting and you actually time the seasons by what grows. I think there's a beauty to that. There's a respect for Mother Nature. I mean, our children nowadays don't even know what grows where and in what season. And I think that's a mistake. I think it's really important to have a connection to Mother Nature and also a relationship and knowledge of what you're eating and when and why.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, I mean, it's cliche, but it has been for a reason, right? Like you are what you eat, and it's true. You see more and more people getting sick, and so much of the food being, filled with not food, and that's the problem, right? Is like, and I wanted to talk to you a bit about that because you've traveled around extensively throughout many of the shows you've worked on, and just life in general, and being a chef and just being involved in food.
Well,
The
I'm not
access,
a chef. I'm not a chef. I don't consider myself a chef. I consider myself a food writer. To me, I mean, look, I admire what chefs do, but that is a different job. That's commanding a
you're right.
kitchen brigade of staff. But I certainly, have been steeped in chef culture for the better part of 2 decades now. And I think that respect for your ingredients and the land that your food grows in is really vital. It's important to be part of a larger system where you respect everything you eat, everything you grow, and respect the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and I agree. I don't consider myself a chef either. Like I cook every day, but I agree with you on that aspect where it's like someone who does it for a service for other people, not just their family, right? Like, but correct me if I'm wrong. You do quite a bit of cooking. I mean, I follow you on the
Oh
on
yeah.
the social medias. You certainly cook a lot, right? I mean,
I cook almost every day when I'm home. And if I'm working on a cookbook like I have been for several years until it came out in November, I am testing recipes all the time. There's always something boiling or bubbling away on my stove. And I love to cook. I mean, I wrote an encyclopedia of herbs and spices specifically because I was so interested in the granular details of how our food comes together. And I love food, but I'm not a chef. I don't sell food. I sell knowledge. I like to think of it
right.
that way.
No, that's great. So you mentioned you wrote a book that was an encyclopedia of herbs. Did you say
Encyclopedia of Spices and Herbs.
spices?
Yeah, it came out now, I guess, gosh, 10 years ago. And that is the very simple title, The Encyclopedia of Spices and Herbs. And it's a handy little book. I
Love
wanted it
that.
to exist, and it's a great reference book for anyone who's interested in that. And it's not like a big tome that, you can't put it in your bag and take it to the market or on your travels. I wanted it to be something that's informative and inspiring to allow people, to cook more.
Well, I love that. What's the is it illustrations or is it pictures?
It's pictures. The Spice Encyclopedia is pictures. That was a book that came out before the children's book Tomatoes for Neela. And then the book that I just published last November is called Padma's All American. It's the last 7 years of filming, traveling, and eating all over this country with both my old shows. And it's recipes, but it's also travelogue essays that open every chapter. And, like I said, it took me 7 years to write it. So
Yeah, I mean, that process, right? It's just a ton of work,
People don't realize how hard it is to produce a cookbook. There's so much involved. There's, of course, writing the recipes and writing the head notes, but also doing your research. This is a
Yeah,
book that spans many different genres and food cultures. And so I wanted to get it right. And then you have to also test the recipes and you have to have other people test them and check your work. And then there's the food photography, which takes a long time. We shot all the pictures for Padma's All American on the road. And then we came back and shot all of the food still lifes, beauty plates of the recipes in my kitchen in New York. And so it was a big process. And then, of course, the writing. There's a ton of writing in this
sure.
book because originally I was going to do two books, one that was a cookbook and one that was a book of essays. A couple of years ago, I guest edited the Best American um, travel writing, and I love travel logs. I love travel writing. And then I really got into it. And so I came back last year and did the Best American food and travel. And so it kind of got my juices flowing, and I wanted a lot of essays just to chronicle all the wonderful people I met on the road with Taste the Nation and just to show how diverse and how exciting American food is with all of the different influences that it has. People don't realize how regional American food is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, so in that book, is it recipes of yours inspired from, or is it from the folks that you've met on all the journeys and all the
It's all of it. So a lot of them are recipes that are given to me by other people, Iranian chefs, Peruvian chefs, Cuban
amazing?
chefs. But a lot of it is just me adapting those all the recipes have obviously been adapted, so there's a
Sure.
standardization of how you're instructed to make the food, and so it's clear. And sometimes people would just I would taste something, on the road, and people would just give me, like, little scraps of paper with just the ingredients, and then I had to figure it out, and thank God, I do a lot from taste memory, so that was fun. And then, there was a lot of research because again, a lot of the recipes come from at least 24, 25 different food cultures. So there's Cambodian Americans, there's Peruvian Americans, there's Nigerian Americans from Houston. There's a lot of indigenous recipes as well. So it really runs the gamut. And it took educating myself over the course of these many 7 years to really understand what the food landscape looks like. And I wanted to share that with everybody so that, hopefully you'd be curious about the food and that would make you curious about your fellow Americans. I was trying to use food as a device to just kind of bring us together. We're so polarized.
That's
And
unbelievable.
it really is, and it's very sad. And if you look beyond the politics, especially the partisan politics, but just, on a human level, there's a lot more that is similar about Americans than is different, even though we may all pray to a different God or, speak a different language with our grandparents or, have funny names to some of our neighbors. We're really all here because we're joined by something bigger, which is certain American values. And I don't think that is exclusive to any one ethnic group.
No, I couldn't agree more, and I think it transcends just America. I think it's just a global humanity thing, and I've been preacher's the wrong word, but a mantra for, like, what I do with it as well is just like music, I say this often, but food is a universal language, and it just breaks down all those boundaries and walls that, like you said, are put up by this crazy world of governments and politicians and all that bullshit, and at the end of the day, the guy who's herding goats in a hill in Afghanistan or shrimp, catching shrimp in Vietnam have a lot of common with me too, gardening and feeding my kids. And we all
Hmm.
kind of want the same stuff, you know what I mean? And there's a big mess in the way that we didn't create.
Exactly. I mean, it's really sad. And also, going back to the environment, like we all have to share this planet. We all want the same things. We want to take care of our elders and make sure they're having a peaceful old age. We want to take care of our families. We want a beautiful home where we feel safe, where our children can thrive and flourish. And I think if we think about it that way and we think about everyone's children, like our children, not just mine versus yours, that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up, taking care of elders because I feel like that's something that traditionally especially in other cultures, and I'm a white guy from New Jersey, you know what I mean, Italian, Irish, and like it kind of got beaten out of America to like the idea of living with your elders instead of putting them in a home or having them being this liability or headache, but actually, you know, nourishing that the wisdom and the wealth of having the community, they again, sucker for cliches, but it takes a village, became cliche for a reason because I truly believe it does. And I think you get a better, again, product is the wrong word, but you get a better person
Well,
when
you
you
get a better outcome for everybody. Look, it's nice to have different generations of a family who spend time together because you want your children to be influenced by different age groups, by different perspectives. That creates a human that is more broad-minded, that is more cultured, that is more hopefully kind and empathic as they age. And I think that's what we really need again in America is that we're so hyper individualized about me, what are my rights, what are, what do I get? And we forget about the we in community, like we can't do it alone. Nobody does anything alone. And we've all got to live together and love each other because, there've been so many studies done, and the number one determinant of mortality is loneliness. And, people who are connected to their communities, who have a good social network, whether it's by blood or friendship or chosen family, do well across the different decades of their lives.
we're social creatures, by design, and you're right. I mean, it kills people, man, and it is one of those things. Just having that community, that sense of it does give you a sense of purpose, man. It's nice to have people that care about you and are interested and know you exist. You know what I mean?
It's
And
nice to be thought of. It's nice to know you're not alone. That's one of the reasons I love food is because, people may not talk to you about religion or politics, and with good reason, but everybody will talk to you about food. Everyone wants to share their best cake recipe or their way their grandma made them cookies or the lasagna or, tamales. Take whatever food that you love eating growing up, and it's a way to share of yourself and also to offer something that you love and feel very deeply about. And so, with Taste the Nation, that's what we did. We used food as that bridge, as that Trojan horse to get people talking about, some very painful at times, but also joyous private moments of their life and how they make their way in the world.
yeah, food for sure, right? Can really get you into the cracks of people and cultures, and it's amazing. And it's been for me personally, it's I love it. It's a form of giving, and my dad always, for some reason, it stuck with me. He said it when I was younger, when I was a kid, but like what you serve people is a direct representation of how you feel about them. And what you do serve to your friends and people, even strangers,
Listen,
is
it's
it's
the only way you can get into another person's body without actually touching them. It's a way to
yeah.
nourish them, it's a way to give them joy, to feed them, to make them full. It's a very nourishing and nurturing thing to do to cook for somebody. It's why, I love to cook, and even when I'm testing recipes, I much prefer to do it with an audience when I have someone to serve that food and feed that food too. When I'm alone, when my kid goes to her dad's for a period of time or whatever, I find I don't really cook that much. I'll have like a yogurt and a banana for breakfast,
Mm.
and I'll have a sandwich or do something easy on the fly. 'Cause sometimes it's not even worth the dishes. Or I'll cook a big meal one day and I'll eat off of that for 3 days because I think every cook, whether you're a professional chef or just cooking for your family and friends, we cook for that moment on the other person's face when they put that spoon in their mouth and they go, mmm, that's the payoff.
Right.
We
Yeah.
want to know that we affected somebody else, that we gave them pleasure and nurturing and sustenance, really.
100%. I mean, that's one of my favorite things is I have 2 young kids, 9 and 7, and, there's a bunch of knucklehead kids around the neighborhood and stuff too, and, coming from different families and different, availabilities to food, and listen, any food's better than no food, but what I'm trying to say is, like, I love when kids come over and other people come over and, like, especially kids, and they're just, like, they're stoked with it. They wanna eat my food, like, they'll clean the plate, they eat every drop, and it's just like I love it, being able to just because it's like you said, it's more than just, a pleasure. It's I know because I'm an ingredient geek, and I think it's the most important part. It's the most important part in cooking, right? Is the ingredients. So like being able to feed people good things that I know are it's like it's fuel, it's nutrition, it's everything, it's literally life.
Well, that look on their face when they eat something delicious that you've made, that is to a cook what clapping is to a musician.
Yeah, absolutely. Something I don't do enough, right? And maybe I'll get into it a bit more, but it's like is cooking for people in need, And there's so much food waste in this country. I forget the organization that I've been chatting with, but I'm the worst with names, but all they focus on is collecting food waste from grocery stores, from restaurants,
Sure,
and
there's City Harvest, there's Feeding America, there's No Kid Hungry, there's a lot of organizations, but you don't need to even work with a big organization. You can just go to your local bank or local shelter. I mean, my friend Susan Sarandon, she goes all the time to cook and feed people at the Bowery Mission.
cool.
And it's just down the road and it's easy to do. And so I encourage everyone, it's as much as you give, of your time and service, you get so much more satisfaction yourself. I've done it as well in my off time. I haven't done it for a bit because I've been traveling so much with the book and now with the show. But it's so gratifying, Brad. Like, you wind up getting much more out of it than what you give. You feel so good. And I think, that's what they say also, like when you're feeling a little down or depressed, and it's really easy to feel demoralized with everything going on in the news. The best salve or antidote to that is a sustained antidote to that is really just doing something for someone else. It makes you realize how fortunate you are. It makes you feel gratitude and really get your head out of your ass, really,
Yeah,
Like, it
man.
just is so humbling, but also satisfying to feel that useful to somebody.
Just help. I couldn't agree more. Just helping people. It's amazing how helping other people can make you feel so good. You know what I mean? Like it really is. I think, and then love is being the answer, and people hammer it on mountains and scream it from hilltops, right? But it is. That's the truth. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit too about, you said you just finished up your most recent book not too long ago, and you did all the testing and stuff at your house. And being that there were so many different cultures and cuisines, and being in New York must have been a bit of a treat, right? As far as being able to source everything. I wanted to talk to you about sourcing, all those different ingredients in New York. And when I lived in New York and when I worked at Bon Appetit magazine for about a decade, that was my job. I did all the sourcing and all the, and it was amazing. It really got me to learn the ins and outs of New York and that, that treasure chest of cultures and cuisines and ingredients from Caloostians to Brooklyn to
Mhm.
Queens. Like it's really, it's one of the it's the best city in the world, one of them in my obviously, but I wanted to talk to you about it living there for so long and being so
Sure.
immersed in it. Yeah.
I, came to New York when I was 4 years old, and it felt like this big, wide, exciting world. And I still have that feeling of awe about New York City. I've grown up there for most of my life. I lived there, raised my child there, and there's no other city like it. I mean, maybe London, but even that I don't think is the same because of the density and the size. You
Right.
mentioned Caloostians. It's a store that I've been going to since I was 4 years old. In fact, that spice encyclopedia, I used all the spices from Caloostians. And for this book too, in the pantry section, there's a QR code. So no matter, even if you don't live in New York, no matter where you live, you can go, just, with that QR code, you can go to the Caloostians website, and you don't have to order everything in the pantry list. You can go one by one and just order what you need, and they'll send it to you. But the beauty of living in New York is that we have so many different gourmet and ethnic markets. You can find everything you need. I mean, imagine how much more difficult your job would have been, Brad, if you lived, in Nebraska or Minneapolis or something. I mean, actually, every state now in this country has an exciting immigrant community. So there are pockets of it, but there's really no city on earth like New York. I mean, you could go to Queens and you could eat from all over the world without ever
I
leaving
know.
that borough.
It's amazing. I've always said that about New York. Like you could literally eat somewhere different every day for like probably for decades.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, by the time that you ran out, half of them would be out of business and new ones would be in. So it would, it is. Hey, do you remember? I don't know if it's still there, and maybe you could help me. There was a spice store, I believe it was Gourmet something in the Lower East Side or over like Astor Place or something. And it was this one woman that ran it kind of deal. And
SOS.
SOS, I had such a crush on her. She was like this
She's
gypsy spice like wizard.
beautiful. She's still
Oh
there.
God.
SOS. I think it's right by Tompkins Square Park.
Yes,
In
SOS.
Alphabet City. It's in the East Village, Alphabet City area. It's still there. A lot of chefs go there. I believe she's Moroccan or North African, if not Moroccan, maybe Algerian, but she's lovely. And in fact, Tompkins Square Park is where my daughter used to play when she was really young. And we'd always go by that shop. And
Mm,
she was so generous. She'd always give my daughter honey
so nice.
sticks. And it was wonderful. She has the most incredible array of not only
I
spices
know.
and things like preserved lemon and all that stuff, but like in her walk-in fridge in the back, there's so many beautiful mushrooms. It's just a joy to be in there. I'm like a kid, in a candy store. It's like a mini version of Palouse, but different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. In another chapter of life, or maybe in the next one, that's a version I could see myself being a version of her, just like that kind of store, living in New York, never have a car. It's
Yeah, I
probably,
don't
yeah.
I mean, I know how to drive and I have a car, but I certainly don't drive in New York. I don't keep the car in the city.
No, there's no
You
reason to.
don't need to.
And
Yeah.
it's not quicker. It's nothing about it is good.
No, you have to fight for parking. I saw a deal.
Yeah, no. And so sourcing and cross testing and testing all your recipes, I mean, that's no small feat. I mean, that's a lot of, I mean, how many recipes
I
were in the book?
I think they're like 125. I
Yeah, like
don't
a
know
ton.
the exact number, but somewhere between 100 and 125, I would say. I mean, it took me a long time, but also, I want to be upfront. Like, this is the first cookbook I've done where I've had help. So I had a wonderful woman named Elisa who shopped and chopped
Yeah,
and
hell yeah.
checked my work and literally stood at my kitchen counter with her laptop typing everything I blurted out to her so we would record it, making sure I used measuring cups and spoons, making sure she was timing me. So, all the
Worth
directions were
every
really
penny.
accurate. Yeah.
Worth
Oh,
every
yeah.
penny. Lifesaver.
Totally. It was like a game changer. I was like, I
Yeah.
could have been doing this the whole time. It was
Yeah.
so worth it. Oh my
And
gosh.
efficient and so much better at capturing the essence of you and what you're trying to get across instead of you worrying about all the notes, which can be frustrating and overwhelming. When I'm writing recipes, like it's so much easier to just cook. And not only just write everything down, but also it has to be very consistent. It has to, and
Hmm.
someone who doesn't maybe have the intuition that you or I or whomever may have, to be able to get that product, that end result clearly. It's not
That's why,
easy.
yeah. No, it's hard. I mean, look, my recipes tend to be really wordy because I want you to succeed. I want to set you up for success. My job is to teach people how to cook when I'm not standing in the room with you, looking over your shoulder. So I always recommend that people read the recipe start to finish twice before they ever turn on a stove or oven. Then chop all your ingredients and line them up in the order that they go into the pot so that you're not stressed, so that you're not frazzled. And, that itself is a game changer. You'd be surprised how many people don't do that. They just kind of breeze through it and they go, okay, okay. And they're still peeling the garlic when the onions are burning in the pot. And you just want to make cooking as pleasurable and as stress free as you can. And that's one way to do it. I mean, being a good cook and then being able to communicate about food are not necessarily the same thing. Not
No,
everybody has both.
absolutely not. I mean, some of the best chefs in the world doesn't mean they're great teachers or
Oh my God,
so
they're the worst. They're the
socially
worst. I mean,
awkward or
no,
writing a recipe or
they might be good teaching someone who's working under them when they're there together in the kitchen,
right.
but they're not good recipe writers because they're like 4 grams or they're translating from the amounts that they need at a restaurant, and it doesn't often travel or translate to the home cook. And then there are fabulous, fabulous recipe writers. I'm thinking, of people like Tony Tipton Martin, Otto Lengi, these people who I really admire, not only for their food history and food knowledge, but also just their ability to really break it down and be instructive. I think that's a very important skill to have as a food writer. You can't be one without it.
Yeah, Odo Lange is a great example, right? I mean, just clear, like it clicks, it's beautiful, it's delicious. His books are
Mhm.
super nice.
Samin Nosrat, same thing. Like, not only did I love her first book, I listened to her first book
Mm,
on audio. And like, not even when I was cooking, just when I was on the treadmill. And it's wonderful to listen to her and her philosophies of food.
yeah, she's like a warm hug. I mean, my God,
Yeah, she really is.
she's beautiful. Um, yeah. So working on the book, congrats on that. I mean, I know it must have felt good being done with it as well, right?
It
Yeah.
did. I mean, it is probably the biggest, other than the encyclopedia, it's probably the biggest endeavor I've undertaken, only because it was so challenging because these were not all recipes of mine and they became my recipes, but I wanted to make sure that I retained whatever the essence of what people loved about the recipe from the culture that it came from was kept intact, but at the same time I wanted it to be more approachable. I wanted these recipes to be able to be made and loved by people who didn't grow up eating them, who weren't steeped in the community from which it came. And so that was the line that I had to toe. And I was really nervous about it because obviously, I don't want to appropriate anybody's culture of food, but I do want to say, look, this is glorious and interesting and delicious. And you should know about it. And we should all celebrate it because now it's part of American culture. It's been brought here by immigrants, and now we can all love them. Nobody eats spaghetti or meatloaf or sushi all the time. We're eating all kinds of things, and how joyous that we get to do that. But, some of us go out to Thai food or order takeout, but we seldom make that food at home. And what
Right.
I'm trying to do is demystify those recipes so that it's fun to make at home. It's great to get your kids involved. It's a nice, wholesome activity that doesn't often require a screen.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. And that's one thing too, getting kids, especially someone, a child that's a little picky, to get them involved with the cooking or even better involved with the growing if possible. Even if it's something like a cherry tomato or rosemary or something where you can from start to finish and then you get this in essence, in season, aroma and flavor as opposed to what you might get at like, a bland, supermarket version or something like that. I've seen it, and even in mine, transform kids' opinions about food, and it's amazing.
Well, a child that has a hand in making her own food is more likely to eat it. And giving a child the love and appreciation and knowledge of food is going to benefit that child long after we are gone and not involved in their lives anymore. And that is a gift that keeps giving for the rest of their life. Not only will they be healthier, but they'll enjoy food, they'll have an activity and a love of food that they can then pass down to their children. And it's really important. I mean, the most healthy thing you can do for yourself and your family is to cook as often at home as you can. There's no greater way to ensure the health and well-being of a family.
I agree, and to sit down together, and eat, and not just like, "Oh, I'm going in this room, I'm going in that room," type of thing, which I get happens, sometimes. But like, I agree, and it's something when I was younger, it was like that was like a major part of my childhood. It was every night, and it wasn't always the best ingredients. My parents got what they could afford, whatever was on sale at the supermarket. I'm sure some manager special Tyson chicken, which in hindsight was probably just atrocious, right? But the point is, she
Well,
made a
they did
homemade
what they could do,
she
they
made
did what
something
they
that
could.
wasn't
Yeah,
that wasn't
my
just mac
family
and cheese
too.
out of a box, and we sat down and we didn't watch TV, and we talked to each other and we ate, and we did it every single night. And I couldn't agree more. I think it is such an important part. It's so
Yeah.
crucial, and I miss it when I travel for work or if I'm gone. Like, I feel guilty. I don't want to do anything else but that because it's the best.
I mean, one thing that I will say has been good, screens notwithstanding, is that, all these food shows and, we've both been part of them, um, have made this new generation of children so much more curious and knowledgeable about food. I didn't know what an amuse-bouche was until I was
Right, right.
30, and yet now I meet teenagers, 13-year-olds constantly that know what it is. And so it's also like food programming is so vital in this country for a lot of people. I mean, in my generation, I was a latchkey kid, and so I grew up watching PBS and watching, Graham Kerr or Julia Child or Jess Smith. And
Jacques
those
Pepin.
programs, yeah, I said they stayed with me a lot. And so, I'm happy that I get to do it again with America's Culinary Cup because I thought that was it. I thought I would just go off and do the documentaries like Taste the Nation. But then I got to do this and I got to build a show from the ground up. I'm very excited about this new show. You can watch it on CBS on
Yeah.
Wednesdays at 9:30. But if you don't, watch linear TV, you can also catch the episodes on Paramount Plus. And I'm so excited about this show. I can't tell you. I mean, I just, I obviously, having done food television for 20 years, I have a lot of fully formed opinions on what I would do if I could do another competition show. And I got to put my money where my mouth was and just build the show exactly as I wanted it. And that is a true privilege that most people never get.
No, that's and congratulations. That's amazing. And I look forward to watching the show. I want to be in competition shows, and hearing you say it puts a really nice like positive angle on it because I don't often watch them, and I don't personally like the idea of being myself in a competition cooking scenario. Having, not being about me and hearing you talk about it, it could be really great exposure for a lot of people and really life-changing opportunities for a lot of people. So it's a
But listen, I can't tell you how many kids have told me that they grew up wanting to be a chef because they watched my shows. And I have to tell you, like, that's one of the things, especially exactly what you're saying, like, oh, not another cooking show, whatever, not another competition show. But let me tell you what, when you give away $1 million,
yeah.
that is a significant amount of money to any chef. And chefs have gone through a lot in this country. They haven't bounced back yet, many of them from COVID.
No, you're
And
right.
it brings a lot of high caliber chefs out of the woodwork who would never dream of cooking on television, let alone competing on
Right.
television. And it's also like, I wanted to create a show that wasn't predictable. So there's no format in America's Culinary Cup. Like there's no, mystery box of ingredients. There's no levels that you ascend to. There's no like little challenge, big challenge. Every episode is different because we test our chefs on 10 culinary commandments, 10 principles that we think every world renowned chef should master in order to make it to the end and get this $1 million prize and this gorgeous cup, this golden America's Culinary Cup. And I wanted to, more than create a successful TV show, I was really looking to create a new culinary institution that was really wholly American. Look, there's the IKA Olympics in Stuttgart, Germany. There's the Bocuse d'Or, where 80 different countries go and they send their best chefs to compete in France. So much of fine dining is very Frenchified. And of course,
Sure.
American fine dining is also influenced by that Western European cooking tradition. But there's so much
So
exciting
much
food
more.
in America that I was very, very adamant about finding like a really interesting group of chefs, who were from all different backgrounds, all different parts of the country, all different heritages, but also who could compete at this level. and doing $1 million, telling them that they won't have to do anything wacky or weird, that we're not throwing obstacles in their way to sabotage them or undermine
Right.
them. We didn't sequester them. We
It's
let
not
them be human
gamified,
beings.
right? Like
No, I
flashbang
mean,
game.
no, there is a lot of strategy, but honestly, it's really just about the purity of cooking. We don't do anything but give them all of the weapons and tools and toys that they could ever want. I mean, that's one thing I'm really proud of because I spent a lot of time creating the kitchen. I didn't want it to look like a game show. I didn't even want it to look like a food set, a food television show. I wanted it to look like a high-end kitchen, a
Mhm.
professional kitchen like you would see at French Laundry or at Danielle. I wanted a cathedral of
Mhm.
culinary excellence. When you see it, there's no bright flashing lights, there's no jewel tone velvet walls. It's very
It's
pristine.
kitchen.
It's almost minimalist in how Japanese it is. There's just white marble, there's just wood floor and stainless steel. I mean, that was a big risk too, because everyone was like, is it going to be boring? I'm like, I don't know, but I just want to take away all of the trappings of a TV show. I want this to really be like the World Series of cooking. And so if
I
you're
like
going,
that.
yeah, I mean, when you're going to go see a big match at Wimbledon, or if you're going to watch the Olympics, you're not giving them crappy equipment. You're
No,
not asking them to fight for that equipment. You're getting them everything they need. You're going to manicure that court within an inch of its life because you're inviting Serena Williams to play there. And
I
that's
like
what
that.
we do.
It keeps it classy, and then a lot of the flash and bells and whistles, in my opinion, can often cheapen it in a way, and I think just it shouldn't and when someone asks, "Is it gonna be boring?" I wouldn't feel that way at all in what you're describing because allowing the food and the characters, the people to really be the entertainment, I shouldn't be a problem at all, right? If there's so much to it already.
Well, it's very much like sports. Instead of balls and bats, we have knives and fire. And
Right.
so if you look at CBS, which is what this is on, it has a lot of sports on it, PGA golf and March Madness basketball and NFL, of course. I wanted this to feel like a sporting event, which is why we have an empirical scoring system. So it's very clear, it's very fair. Of course, we talk about the dishes in front of the chefs. There's no surprises. We do it all in real time. But I don't know how Wiley Dufresne or Michael Chimarusti is voting or is scoring, and we have 4 categories. And so we're just as shocked when we look at that leaderboard and the, flip-flop board reveals the scores. We're just as shocked or excited or whatever as the chefs are. And it just makes it more fair.
So you mentioned judges like Wiley. Um, how many? Talk to me a little bit about the judge. I'm so curious on the structure of it. So it's a studio kitchen, and there's
Mhm.
chefs cooking simultaneously.
Well, they don't cook simultaneously exactly. They cook on a stagger because
Okay,
we want to make sure we're eating that food when it's fresh, when it's hot, just
cool.
like the chef intended. I didn't want to eat cold food, then the sauces are congealing. So they cook on a stagger, but they all have their own counter or their own cooking station.
Zone. Cool.
Yeah, they all and we change those around for fairness so no one has an advantage that they're closer to the ovens or the pantry or whatever. But they each have 6 burners and a oven under the stove. They have places for all their tools and cutting boards and everything. But then around them, they have combi ovens, dehydrators, a wood
Everything.
burning
Yeah.
pizza oven,
Cool.
dehydrators, blast chillers, sous vide machines galore, like enough equipment, enough of everything. We had every protein you could want, duck eggs, quail eggs. We had regular lobsters, spiny lobsters. I mean, it was a dream and a
Wow.
fantasy kitchen. And I'm very proud of the fact that every chef that came in there, whether they were a judge, like Daniela Soto Inez or Eric Repair or Suzanne, whoever you want to say, or a competitor, they were looking around and they were all unanimously like, this is an amazing kitchen. I would kill to have a kitchen like this in
Yeah,
my
me too.
restaurant. And that made me feel so good because that's what I wanted to provide them. I wanted to say, okay, you think you're the best? I'm going to give you everything you need to succeed, and I'm not going to get in your way. Just cook
Right.
your heart out, nothing weird, whatever you want to do, and then
Yeah,
show
just
us.
pure passion, and there's no excuses, right? You have
Yeah, pure skill,
the
pure,
palette is
grit
full of
and
paint.
talent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Is it in New York?
It's partly shot in New York and mostly shot in Toronto.
In Toronto, yeah.
We wanted to make sure we had the space to really
Yeah,
find a
yeah.
giant site to build. We built this kitchen from scratch. Everything you see is an actual thing. It's not like fake,
Mm,
because of television. And it's beautiful. I mean, I'm really happy with the way it came out. I didn't know if I could pull it off, and I'm very thankful to CBS and all the producers who really worked hard with me to build this show. I couldn't ask for more. TV is always a collaborative effort, and a
sure.
big circus comes together, and you never know if it's going to work or not. I mean, this is my biggest swing ever. It had like 350 people on the crew, all
Wow.
told. If you look at Taste the Nation, which is the other show I created, we were like a crew of 15, in three pass vans, like running around. But that's what that show needed, because if
I
you're
mean, that's
trying
still pretty
to,
big too. I mean,
yeah, it is. But 350 people working together and rowing in
that's a
one
movie
direction.
set. Yeah.
Kinda, yeah. It's daunting, but it's exciting, and like I said, I'm so stoked that I even got the opportunity to do it and just, like, realize my dream of seeing
Yeah.
what I could do.
Well, in that kind of polar opposite as to what, in the van run and gun more approach, there's something cool too, I would imagine. I haven't been, you've made such a career out of it for years now, but like that hive of talent and people trying to create something probably becomes electric and infectious in its own way.
It's very addictive,
Yeah,
whenever I go off and I shoot a show, there's always a reentry period when I come home, because your adrenaline is going, your brain is active and lit up in ways that you would
sure.
never have in real life, and it's exciting, and it's also wonderful to be a part of this big organism with many tentacles,
Yeah.
and just getting to do that is insane. But then when you come back, you're like, okay, I got to go back to real life now. Got to wake up my kid for school. Got to go to the gym, all the things.
Yeah, but what a blessing, right? I mean, point taken, but yeah, so cool. And congrats on being able to have your hands in it and make what you want to make, because that's special stuff. That's what it's all about there.
Thank you. This is my love letter to chefs, because really, I don't think anybody works harder than a chef and their
It's
staff. And
unbelievable.
yeah, and it's wonderful to showcase the talent we have in this country. They're such high caliber chefs. All these chefs are known in the chef community. They're also very big in the communities in which their restaurants are. They all have Michelin stars or green Michelin stars. They all have either a James Beard nomination or win, or some of them
Cool.
have a Bocuse d'Or medal. Some of them are best in chefs. It's like a really great roster. And again, like $1 million brings a lot of people out to play.
Oh yeah. So I mean, they're all studs already. I love it, and I love this. So the structure is that do you cook? So each person has their own thing, right? Their own vibe, their own culinary.
Their own style and point of
Yeah.
view of cooking, yes.
And so there's no restrict. They can make whatever they want. It's an open plate, open book. You have
Well,
everything at
yes,
your.
except for there are certain culinary commandments like vegetable cookery, mastering the art of meat, which is what's going on this week. We have also consistency, which has to do with seafood, but they're just categories like that. We don't say you have to cook with beef, you have to cook
Gotcha.
with sea bass, you have to cook with a turnip. We just give you what that culinary commandment is, and it could be dessert, whatever it is. And then it's up to you. Like the very first episode, which already aired last week, the premiere, that was like a 90-minute episode. And all we said was, cook your best dish. You cook what you think is most indicative of your prowess and your point of view in the kitchen. And I think that was kind of hard for them, because they were like, oh my God, what do I pick? But every
Right.
chef has that dish that they're really proud of and that says everything they want to say about themselves and food. And we wanted to see that. And so that was the case. Like, we have one culinary commandment, which is desserts. And you can make any dessert you wanted to. We just kind of gave you a theme of good and evil or whatever, and you got to do whatever you want. And so you really see not only the identity and point of view of the chef, but you also see their creativity, their thinking on the fly, their imagination, and also their heritage comes out. It's some exciting food, Cambodian food, Mexican food, Spanish food, Korean, all kinds of
Mm.
food, Southern cooking. It was incredible.
Yeah, there is. That's what's so great, right? And about America too. And I mean, you get it around a lot of places, but America specifically, right? It is such a melting pot of so many different cultures, and that's what makes it so great. And like to be able to also experience that through the lens of food. I mean, who doesn't want to do
Yeah.
that?
It's funny, my first ever cooking show was a stand and stir cooking show on the Food Network. It was called, Melting Pot, and, it was, like, different chefs, pairs of chefs every day of the week, and then on Friday, it was me just cooking from all over the world. It was called Padma's Passport, and it was really interesting. I mean, that was so long ago that I started. I was very young, and to see where not only food television, but American food in general has gone in the last, 20 years is insane. Like when I first started, nobody could even pronounce Chipotle. And
Right.
now there's a chain called Chipotle. So it just goes
Sure.
to show you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, and you mentioned that show Padma's Passport. Was that like a Food Network thing or
Yeah.
was it yep. Heck yeah. Well, I mean, listen, Food Network, I'll be 41 in May. And like when I was younger, like that was that inspired a whole generation of people to cook or like really shined a light that you could like I guess really put like that superstar rock star kind of like big vibe of what a chef could become potentially.
One of the shows that I used to love was always Alton Brown and
The
seeing
best.
him break down all of the recipes, but along with like Sarah Moulton, who is the editor in chief of Gourmet. I'm talking way, way back.
Yeah, when they were in
It,
LA.
it was great, it
Mhm.
was fun, and it was Yan can cook. I mean, just to
Sure.
watch his hands, or Wolfgang or Emerald or all these
Or
people.
Ming's
I mean,
Quest was another one too. There were so many
yeah,
characters.
yeah, yeah.
That inspired a whole generation of people to wanna go to culinary school or wanna become a chef. Most of them had a big rude awakening when they did graduate and go work at a
Yes.
kitchen and realize, "Oh, wow, it's not the Food Network, it's nights and weekends and insane hours and miserable pay and a lot of miserable people."
Totally, and, you're on your feet constantly, you have no life, you're
It's so
often
hard
making peanuts, and for a long time, it was so, male-dominated, it still is, there's
and
no other.
toxic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and toxic, there's no other industry in our culture, maybe the military, that is so male dominated and toxic. You bet your ass it was toxic. Every day, without mentioning names, we're seeing new chefs be outed for their behavior, and they get built up, and then the truth comes out about how they built that success literally on the backs and fears of the people who worked under them. And I just don't think that's sustainable.
Often
Just
women and immigrants, like, let's face it,
absolutely.
some of the best Italian restaurants in New York City has got 25 guys from Oaxaca in there or Puebla, and that's
Every
just the
restaurant,
fact. Every restaurant.
every restaurant, you look in the back of any restaurant in New York or any other big city, and it's all black and brown faces, whether that's, Bangladeshi
Yep,
or Ecuadorian or Nigerian. Those are
100%.
the hands that are responsible for the food in this country, not only in restaurants, but in distributing food and picking our vegetables and fruits and farming, in working in, big centers, or in grocery stores. Like we, I've done a lot of work, obviously, in the field of immigration and immigration rights, and I don't think people should be afraid of immigration. I think that's actually something to feel really proud of, America for. But I will say, like, you get rid of immigrants, you get rid of our food system. So you better figure out how to keep food from being
Oh my
even
god.
more expensive. I mean, I seen videos on social media of farmers in Kansas who are crying after having voted for this They can't harvest. Everybody's gone because they're afraid of being rounded up by ice, and their carrots are rotting in the ground.
I'm no historian necessarily, but it's not a real big riddle. So it's just mind-boggling. Before I forget, there's always a couple questions I forget to ask when we're chatting. You have a favorite bagel in New York City at the moment?
No.
Not like no, just hard no. Okay, moving on. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Okay. Do you not like bagels?
No, I love bagels, but
Not a
I
favorite person.
I don't often eat them anymore. I find that I'm hungry in an hour after I had this giant bagel with, I want to say, half a pound of cream cheese.
Right. Just
And,
not good fuel.
I eat for a living, so it's not a great way to get nutrition, but they're delicious. I mean, I
Yeah.
actually like scooped out bagels that are toasted with butter, and my favorite bagel is a sesame bagel, not an everything bagel, because often the garlic is burnt on
It's
an everything
you make a
bagel and
great
it's
point, and it will
bitter.
just ruin your mouth for the day. A nice good old burnt everything. Sesame's a great bagel. You lost me at scoop. That's something like my dad does. And but that's fine. Dog or cat? You said dog. Are you a coffee drinker?
I am not a coffee drinker. I'm a tea drinker. I do like a cup of coffee now and then because I love the smell of coffee.
Right.
I can eat a plate of nails and nothing will happen to me. But if I drink a cup of coffee on an empty stomach, I have the worst heartburn. And so, I'll have an espresso after a huge Italian meal, but otherwise it's tea all day long.
Herbal or like a black tea or all the above?
All of the above, but it's usually masala chai, so
Ooh.
Indian spiced tea, which is black tea with, things like black pepper and cardamom and ginger. I have several cups of it through the day, and then I try to switch to green tea, and then if I'm
Green tea.
doing a lot of sound editing, then I switch to throat coat or mint with lots of honey. We have a beehive now,
Ooh, love
on my
that.
terrace. So we make our own honey, which is nice. It's, well, the bees make it, but yeah,
They make it, we take it, but it's we're thinking about getting some bees too this summer. Not to go down
it's
that rabbit hole.
wonderful. Just wait till your
Yeah.
kids are a little older so they don't, go disturbing it, but
Yeah, for sure. They're
it's
pretty good with
fun.
that kind of stuff. Last question, and no pun intended. The last meal. All right, the gig's up, the show's over. What are you getting? Because it's after.
It's always a tie between fried chicken or a nice slice of stretch pizza. I love
Maybe
White
you could have
Japanese
both.
pizza.
You can do both.
Yeah, fried chicken, it's my last meal, right?
Yeah.
So fried chicken and pizza and also my homemade lentils and rice because that is so comforting to me and it's
That
smacks of my
sounds
childhood.
pretty nice. I would probably take a side of like a really nice miso soup just to finish it off, and we can call it quits there. That sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, that sounds like a good last meal. Thank you, Padma, again, and congrats on the show and the book and everything you're doing, and just for being a pioneer in the categories that you do. So, thank you again.
Thank you, Brad. Take care. Nice to
My
see you.
pleasure.
This episode was produced by Brad Leone and Carolyn Gagnon in partnership with Studio 71. It was edited by Kate Brunotts with music by Harrison Menzel.